everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, and I am very excited. It's been a tremendous week for two reasons. I'll give you my reasons too. Reason the first, I am the inaugural Cultaholic heavyweight champion. What a wonderful accolade to have achieved, thanks to my predictions of WrestleMania 34. Reason the second is because today it's finally time for my special double-length edition of Wrestlers of the Week. I will waste no further time. Let's get straight into it. Now, obviously, it was a very action-packed week, so there's far too many honourable mentions to list in full. I'll just throw a few out. Poor, handsome, beautiful Darby Allin got injured after his first match against Keith Lee, and it was a great match as well. Also, everyone in the NXT ladder match who doesn't make it onto this list, because one or two may well do. Who else? Oh, Mr. Oulet, the old Quebecer. He got himself in horrendously good shape. Horrendously good? Yeah, okay. He got himself in terrifyingly good shape for his match against Volta, and they just battered each other. He nearly hurt himself on a moonsault, but he didn't. All happy days. But unfortunately, because it was such a stacked weekend of wrestling quality, he also didn't make it onto my top 20 list. Yeah, let's just get into it. There's a lot to get through. So let's start off with number 20. Oh, and Roderick Strong turned heel. So he's no longer the sneaky heel of this list, trying to weasel his way up the rankings. Now he's fully heel, so it all makes sense. It's all falling into place. It's almost as if I knew. I didn't know. Number 20, and it is an honour to include him on this list. A man I never thought would be on Wrestlers of the Week ever. No matter how many years that I did this series for, I never thought that Daniel Bryan would be on Wrestlers of the Week. Now, he only picks up 1 point. He's more of an honorary member of the list, but man, who else got a reception like Daniel Bryan this WrestleMania weekend? Maybe one or two other people, but nothing as just jubilant and as relieved as the crowd when Daniel Bryan came out and returned to the ring with his first match since picking up those injuries that looked like they'd ruined and ended his WWE career. He was back in the ring, he was teaming with Shane McMahon, he was facing Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and they took him out straight away, and he laid on the outside for a good few minutes. But when he eventually got the hot tag and started doing his Daniel Bryan thing, drop kicks and running really fast, and I'm not describing his style very well at all, it was really good. I love Daniel Bryan, he's a fantastic wrestler, and I'm thrilled to have him back. And I'm thrilled to have him on Wrestlers of the Week. And also, he had that dream match with AJ Styles on SmackDown in the main event, which was sadly ruined by the now heel Shinsuke Nakamura. Bastard. But well done, Daniel. 1 point for you. You're on the list. Get up there in the future weeks. Come on, son. A bit aggressive. Number 19, it's Flip Gordon, because, right, there was obviously the ladder match that everyone's talking about at NXT, but there was another ladder match that I think everyone should be talking about as well. It's Supercard of Honor, where we had SoCal and Censored taking on the frenemies team, I'm going to call them, of the Young Bucks and Flip Gordon, who don't really get on that well. But Flip Gordon did some actual crazy stuff in this match. The spot that I'm going to mention, there was too much to actually name off the top of my head, but the one I'm going to mention is when he stood on the top of the ladder and there was various people around him all jostling for position, and he hit a super kick while balanced on top of the ladder and kept his foot in and stayed on the ladder while his opponent fell to the canvas. I've never seen that before. Flip Gordon is a very raw talent. You know, he doesn't quite yet have the storytelling capability of a Ricochet or an Ospreay figure, but my word, he can do flips. It's in his name, he better be able to, but man, the guy has got some balance, he's got some agility, and but the earth is round, I'm afraid, Flip, I'm sorry. I would also like to take this opportunity to shout out Nick Jackson, who almost did get onto this list, because he did an insane spot as well, where there was like 3 ladders all sort of near each other. The first one he was on got pushed over, hopped to the second, that one got knocked over like a domino, hopped to the third, that one got knocked over like a domino, stepped on the top rope, sent onto the outside. Ugh. How do you learn to do something like that? How do you practice that? How do you practice that? Number 18, Ember Moon. I really enjoyed the Women's Championship match at NXT TakeOver New Orleans, even though, you know, it took place on the most impossibly, incredibly stacked card we've ever seen, potentially, in the world of wrestling. Honestly, Meltzer said in the newsletter that it may have been the best pay-per-view WWE have ever produced, and the scary thing is, I didn't read that and go, come on, Meltzer. I read that and went, oh, maybe, which is insane. But even though it was maybe maybe the weakest match on the show. I really enjoyed it still. Ember Moon versus Shayna Baszler. Ember Moon, of course, lost, but taking the role of the more experienced wrestler in the match, as she did with her first match against Shayna B. Ember kind of led her through the match. Shayna was fantastic as well, I should point out, but Ember really did impress me a lot here. She was doing all the Ember Moon stuff, really. She hit a lovely eclipse, which was reversed, which was fantastic. She did loads of different moves and stuff. Lads, I can't remember. There was so much wrestling. What I do remember is that she was really good and really impressed me, and always seems to tell really good stories in her matches. We've seen it before with her matches against Asuka, and then of course she was one of the NXT superstars who got called up to the main roster, making her debut on Raw in a tag match alongside Nia Jax and getting the pinfall on the former Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss. Great, lovely. Well done, Ember. Welcome to the list. I think it's your first time on the list. Welcome. That sounded so nerdy. Welcome. Have a look at the weapons I have for you. Number 17, Cedric Alexander. Oh man, Cedric Alexander is getting the rewards he deserves. He is one of the best workers on the WWE roster right now, and he had a very entertaining pre-show, sadly, WrestleMania match for the Cruiserweight Championship against Mustafa Ali. Cedric came out, I think, with Black Panther themed attire. Mustafa Ali came out with Beyblade themed attire, had a Beyblade in his hand. That's one for those of you who remember Beyblade. Let it rip! Let's Beyblade! The match was very good. The only part that I didn't like was when Cedric and Ali were screaming at each other, Soul! Heart! Soul! Because one of them is the soul of 205 Live, one of them is the heart of 205. You see what they were doing there. It was a bit rammed down my throat for my liking, but at the same time, it was a very good match. Cedric was not the heel, but the slightly more brutal one. Hit a lovely backstabber, lumbar check, that's the one that he calls it, for the win, and has, the Cruiserweight Championship, which I think he should have had quite a long time ago, to be honest. He's that damn good. So well done, Cedric. A few more points for you. Come on, son. I've done it again. Bit aggressive. Got to stop calling wrestlers son as well, who are blatantly older than me. Tell you who's not older than me. The Authors of Pain are both younger than me. What? Number 16, Cody Rhodes. His match with Kenny Omega at Supercard of Honor divided opinion quite a lot. Some thought it was excellent, some thought it was a bit of a letdown considering the amount of storytelling that had led up to it, but to be fair, this clearly isn't the final chapter in their rivalry. Cody won the match because the Young Bucks interfered and super kicked. They went to super kick Cody, he did a little duckaroo out of the way, and then Kenny, I feel like the children's TV presenter. He did a duck, didn't he, children? And then he super kicked Kenny Omega. So yeah, Cody Rhodes picked up the win. I'm also going to give him some points as well. He makes it this high on the list because of how well he is gradually becoming more and more deranged, not just in his wrestling style and not just in his promos, but in his aesthetic as well. He obviously had that cut above his eye at the last New Japan show, so he came out rocking a gold eye patch, because of course, looking like a Street Fighter villain or something. It was awesome. I also really enjoyed the Being the Elite segment on YouTube where Cody was like celebrating really obnoxiously backstage, and one by one everyone left him and he was sat alone. Yes, he had the win, but he didn't have his friends. And that's a lesson that we can all, it's very poignant, that. And I liked it. Number 15, Sethy Roll, Seth Rollins, who is now a Grand Slam champion in WWE after winning the opening match of the WrestleMania main show against Finn Balor and The Miz. Yeah, this was an awesome match, one of the best matches on the WrestleMania card. Rollins won with the stomp, not the curb stomp, just the stomp. And it was a great match. At one point, he hit one of those insanely high-angled frog splashes that he does, lovely, to break up a pinfall, I think, as well. Or was it just when the other two were a bit blindsided? He hit it out of nowhere anyway. The camera cut just at the right time. Rollins crash landed on them, and yeah, really like it. Really excited as well to see what Rollins will do with the Intercontinental Championship, because he's a worker, isn't he? He's a work rate, he's a marathon man, he can wrestle for so long, and I want him to have some really interesting opponents. I kind of hope there's an open Intercontinental Championship sort of situation going on, like we've seen before with the United States Championship. So well done, Seth. Welcome to the list. You're still my favourite member of the Shield, easily. Easy. Number 14, Ricochet. Now, Ricochet was one of the standouts in that ladder match for the North American Championship. Well, to be fair, everyone was a standout in that match because it was excellent, but Ricochet for me was one of the main two standouts probably. The move that I remember him doing the most was when his ladder was getting tipped over and he thought, well, I'm just going to improvise here, a bit like MacGyver. And he just did he turned his fall into a big moonsault onto the outside. I don't know how, I've never done a moonsault before, quite clearly. I don't know how hard it is to do a standard moonsault even, so I imagine doing a moonsault off a platform that is tipping you backwards is probably quite a bit harder as well. Well done, Ricochet. The crowd were eating up everything he did in this match, and it's easy to see why, because he's one of the most exciting wrestlers in the world to watch, and I'm very excited to see what he does next. Looks like it's going to be a feud with the Velveteen Dream. Oh yeah, I can't wait for those promos. It's going to be really good. I just hope he doesn't get sent to 205 Live. I hope he gets, when he's eventually done with NXT, hope he gets called up to the main roster. Really hope so. Number 13, Keith Lee, the man of the hour, bask in his glory. I sound like one of those wind-up string pull toys, don't there? There's a snake in my boot. Keith Lee was kind of like a social butterfly at this year's WrestleMania weekend. He was popping up everywhere, which is quite surprising for such a large man. No one saw him coming. He was just he was destroying Darby Allin in Evolve. He was losing his WWN Championship to Austin Theory. What an indie-rific name that is. Austin Theory. I really like that a lot. Maybe Austin Theory will find himself on this list in the next few weeks. I was quite impressed by him. He just didn't quite make it this time. Keith Lee was also popping up at Access. He had two matches at Access on different days. He had a match against Cassius Ohno, and he had a match against Lars Sullivan. And I just think it's a matter of time until we see him in the front row of NXT. Surely. Keith Lee wouldn't be at Access if WWE weren't like, get him in. Look at the size of him. And he can move, and he can talk. Oh, get him in right now. He's like Lashley, but good. No, nah, Lashley is good now. Come on, that's a bit harsh. He's like Lashley, but more well-rounded. Sorry, Bobby. Bobby might get on this list. He's on Raw now, isn't he? He might not. We'll see. I'm not a big Lashley fan. No, I'll give Lashley a fair shout. Come on, Bobby, you can do it. Number 12, Zack Sabre Jr., a man who's appeared on more Wrestlers of the Week than anyone else, I think. And I know that you're all going to go, oh, of course Zack Sabre Jr. is on this list. But I bet he's not as high as you thought he was going to be. Because I was really worried that after bringing in this whole double-length 20-point concept, that Zack would win and get like the top spot and then just go 20 points ahead of everyone else. And then that's the list, like... The suspense is robbed for at least a few weeks. But no, thankfully, he still did really well, but he didn't do that well. He had some really good matches, but he was a big old loser in them. Zack, what a loser, what a nerd. Nerd. Nice job, pal. Good, no. Zack lost his Rev Pro belt to Tomohiro Ishii, and he lost his Evolve belt to Matt Riddle as well. Zack, what's going on? I know what's going on. He signed an exclusive deal with New Japan, so he's probably just jettisoning all of his titles before, he embarks on a full-length career over in Japan. So I get it, but I like to think that he just had a horrendous weekend. The pressure got to him. What a chicken, what a bottler, what a choker, Zack. You're a choker, mate. No, but you've got loads of points though, so well done. Number 11, Daisuke Sekimoto. Basically what happened was here, Sekimoto was one of two Japanese guys. One of them was the semi-retired Mr. Sawa, who came over and just messed stuff up. Just messed stuff up over the course of WrestleMania weekend in a good way. They had a wonderful tag match against Ringkampf, and then Sekimoto had great matches against, I think he had one against Keith Lee, I think he had one against Riddle as well. And all of the matches that he took part in were really good. Sawa is also an honourable mention. Sorry you couldn't get on this list, Sawa. He had a good match against Zack. But now Sekimoto is just, if you've never seen him before, he's an impossibly thick Japanese man. That's thick with two C's, as the kids say on Twitter when they're being a bit weird. What is wrong with the youth of today describing things as thick? Oh, disgraceful. What happened to all the guitar bands? Where are the guitar bands? Oh, everything's a DJ now, everything's a sit. I sound like my dad, I'm turning into my dad. I'm turning into Graham. Oh, it's happening. Number 10, the name that has been on everyone's lips since WrestleMania weekend ended. Ronda Rousey, one of the most naturally gifted duck to water wrestlers that I can ever remember. She's like Kurt Angle. She just gets it. She can just wrestle. She can just do it. We knew she'd be a good athlete, so we knew that she'd have the strength and dexterity and stuff to do moves and stuff like that. But what we didn't know is that she has incredible in-ring charisma. She was pausing at the right time. She was moving her body in the right way. She was trash talking Triple H over the ropes going, all right, I'll just carry on beating up your wife there. It was so good. She just gets it. She can't cut a promo yet, but as I said in a few other videos this week, just because it doesn't mean she hasn't got charisma. Charisma and cutting a promo aren't necessarily the same thing all the time, so she can't really cut a promo, but her in-ring charisma, she's got it. She looked like a seasoned vet, and I have no doubt that the mixed tag match will have been, you know, heavily rehearsed in advance, but props to Ronda. She exceeded expectations and was part of probably the best match of this year's WrestleMania show. Who would have thought? Ronda Rousey, get on this list right now. You demon woman. Excellent. Number 9, Asuka. So it turns out that someone was ready for Asuka and her undefeated streak's over, and I really didn't like that booking decision, but I'm gonna not get too annoyed by it. I understand. I get the points of view that say that it's fine that Asuka lost. I don't think Asuka should have lost, but I'll accept it, right? And it was a good match, you know, it's between this and the mixed tag match for the best bout on the WrestleMania show. Asuka and Charlotte tore it up. They had a wonderful match, and I just hope that this loss doesn't damage Asuka too much, because for my money, she is the best wrestler in WWE, best women's wrestler in WWE. Yes, I'm gonna say it. I reckon she's the best women's wrestler in WWE. I can hear Pacitti from outside because he's a big Charlotte Flair fan going, no, it's Charlotte. For me, it's Asuka, right? That counter of the moonsault into the armbar or whatever she attempted to do, maybe it was an Asuka lock. It was so slick. I'm so sad that she lost her undefeated streak, and I'm so sad that she was happy about it afterwards when she, oh, you were ready for Asuka, congratulations. No, you should have been like, right, I'm gonna get you next time, Charlotte. I'm gonna actually break your arm off, mate. The booking was flawed, the match was excellent, so Asuka deserves to be on the lists. I don't begrudge putting her on the list, I just wish that she'd won. But then, I've said that, number 8 is Charlotte Flair because she broke Asuka's streak, and she's been positioned as the Triple H of the women's division. Not just because her entrance was very Triple H at WrestleMania 30-ish, but just because of the way that she presents herself. She's always a star, she's the favourite in every match she goes into, apart from this one where everyone thought Asuka was going to win, and she should have won. But no, you know what, Charlotte is a fantastic wrestler, and in this match, I gave her the edge over Asuka in terms of the ranking on this list. I just thought she was she always carries herself like a star, and well, I don't know why I keep saying that, she is a star and carries herself appropriately. And now she's broken Asuka's streak, but then she did lose her SmackDown Women's Championship, so I'm hoping that she shimmies on over to Raw and has some fresh matchups and just starts beating people up, and then has a match with Rousey in the main event of WrestleMania 35. I want that. Now that I've seen that Rousey can be good, I want that main event. Number 7, now, don't shout at me. It's Will Ospreay, right? I know he and Zack have featured on this list quite a lot, and Will Ospreay is actually the leader heading into this week, but he had one of the best matches of WrestleMania weekend. I can't not put him on this list. The match I'm talking about was against Matt Riddle, but all of Ospreay's matches were more interesting than usual just because of his neck injury, like the injury that he sustained back in New Japan in the match against Marty Scurll, where he went for a Spanish fly off the apron and landed like on the edge of his head and was bleeding, his neck all folded up and stuff, and everyone was really worried for him. And then he was cleared to wrestle in New Orleans, and he brought that over with him. Like, obviously he brought the neck injury over with him, but he brought it over in a kayfabe storyline sense. So every one of his matches was packed with more drama than usual. So Riddle like targeted the neck, for example, quite mercilessly, and everyone was a bit frightened for Ospreay actually. His selling was wonderful. The pace of his matches was a lot slower because it kind of had to be to make sense with all the selling that he was doing, and it really benefited him. I always hear critics of Ospreay say, yeah, but he needs to slow down a little bit. Well, he did slow down, and he was phenomenal. So I guess that's it. He had another good match against AR Fox as well at an Evolve show, and various other great matches, but it's Will Ospreay. Just, yeah, really good stuff. But that match against Riddle especially at Evolve was it Evolve 103? I think it was, or the WWN Super Show, one of the two. The match he had against Riddle was actually phenomenal. One of the best matches of WrestleMania weekend, and there were some really good matches of WrestleMania weekend. Number 6, the biggest winner of the weekend, I want to say, Adam Cole. Baby and all that. He's got 2 belts now. How is he going to do that with 2 belts? Well, you just hold them up, I guess. You just go Adam Cole. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense in hindsight. Adam Cole, quick maths lesson. Adam Cole went into TakeOver with 1 belt, kind of, Freebird rule. Came out with 2. What he did was he won the ladder match to become the first ever, the inaugural NXT North American champion. We all know what a wonderful match that was. I've already talked about it already in the video. And also, He was a great little cheeky heel factor in the tag match where he was taken out early on and was really in trouble, like lying on the wreckage of the announce table and just didn't look up for it. And then, of course, sneaky old Roderick Strong turned on Pete Dunne and secured the titles for the Undisputed Era and joined the Undisputed Era. Adam Cole is now in an insanely strong position. He's a double champion, and WWE just seem to be fully behind him. He's the leader of the hottest stable in NXT. He's insanely over with the fans who, when he does the Adam Cole baby thing, everyone's like screams it along with him. It's an amazing ovation. It's like me when I come to the office in the morning, I'm like, "You all right, lads?" They're all like, "Jack the Jobber, baby." They're not. They go, "Oh, you're right." Number 5, Alistair Black, who had, well, I think personally that his match was a little bit underrated. Everyone said it was really good because it was his match against Almas at NXT TakeOver New Orleans, but I think it got a little bit underrated, and that's probably because of some of the other matches on the card around it, making it look a little bit worse than it was. I thought it was excellent. I thought it was a really fun match. And he is now, of course, the new NXT champion, and his performance was really good. I don't need to go into it too much. You know, if you've seen an Alistair Black match, how good he is, especially the one against Velveteen Dream, where he like kind of did that thing that wrestlers sometimes do, where you can tell they're just balling out of their mind, like it's wrestling on a different level. He kind of approached this in this match too, but then he did that weird smile when he won the title. Like, Alistair Black's always been very miserable, and he's the sinister man from Amsterdam, remember? And then he won the belt and he was like, "Yes, Mr. Blue Sky." So yeah, well done, Alistair Black. Big chunk of points for you, but weird smile. I guess it showed how much the belt meant. Yeah, let's go with that. It showed how much the belt went. Bit creepy though, man. Bit creepy. Number 4, Andrade Cien Almas. Oh yes indeed. I love Andrade Cien Almas. He is so good, and I'm so excited as well that he's lost the NXT Championship, as strange as that sounds, because I reckon he's going to get a rematch and then probably lose that as well and then go to the main roster. That's what I'm hoping anyway. And I think as well that he'll avoid main roster obscurity. I think he'll bypass that and hopefully one day become WWE champion. I want it. I want him to become WWE champion because he's legitimately at the moment one of my favorite wrestlers in the world. Again, this match, as all Almas matches do, had a great story, in part thanks to the excellent work of Zelina Vega, one of the best managers in the world right now. She got involved several times, and eventually it was her that kind of cost Almas the belt after helping him defend it in so many other matches. Ironically, she came off the top rope, Black ducked, Almas caught her, and then couldn't use his arms to defend himself from the Black Mass spinning heel kick thing. So it was a great story, loved it. And Almas again was on fire. He is in the form of his life, especially after those matches with Gargano and now this one against Black. And I just hope that when he gets to the main roster, they don't mess him about. They just fast track him to success because he's totally worth it. And they're always looking for a big Latino crossover star, aren't they? So I believe in Almas. Hashtag Almas is the best forever and ever and ever. Hashtag that. Number 3, the prom king of WrestleMania weekend's indie shows, I guess. Matt Riddle, who was just everywhere. He did everything. He had an event named after himself, Matt Riddle's Bloodsport, main evented against Suzuki. It was meant to be against Low-Ki, and then rumours are that Low-Ki went, I'm not putting you over, so Matt Riddle went, all right, cool, see you later. And then they got Suzuki in, and then Matt Riddle went, I'll put him over. It's Minoru Suzuki. Interesting thing about that match, I've never seen Suzuki. Suzuki usually, right, here's how the chop sequence goes in Suzuki matches. Suzuki will chop someone, and he'll go, come on, hit me back, come on. They'll hit him back, he won't do anything. Chop them back, they'll chop him back. He'll chop them, they're really hurting by this point. They'll chop him, he starts laughing at them, and then beats them up. That's usually what happens, right? That's not what happened in this match. Instead, what happened was Suzuki did his usual bully thing. He initiated a chop battle. He went, oh, have that. Riddle went, and Suzuki was like, I've never seen Suzuki taken aback before. He crashed into his chest, and Suzuki went, all right. Gave him another one back, a hard one. Riddle went, okay, bang! Suzuki was like, oh, right, and then kneed him. And I thought, yeah, you've backed out of a chop battle because Matt Riddle is that ferocious a striker. It was hilarious. I really enjoyed it. I hope it was legit. And I think it was legit as well. I think Suzuki didn't fancy any of it. Riddle also, he beat James Ellsworth in that really anticipated match at Joey Janela's Spring Break in sadly short fashion. He went for a running knee at one point and missed because Ellsworth hasn't got a chin. So, I get it. It was an entertaining match and Riddle won, which I was sad about, but it made sense. He also won the Evolve Championship from Zack Sabre Jr., one of the matches of the weekend, defended it against Will Ospreay, one of the matches of the weekend, and defended it against Sekimoto as well, sorry. Again, another really, really strong match. I didn't think that one would be one of the matches of the weekend. Yeah, potentially. Basically, Matt Riddle was insanely consistent and insanely everywhere and insanely over everywhere he went. So yeah, if it wasn't for something in particular, which we're going to talk about in a second, he would be higher on this list, maybe even number 1. Number 2, and his first entry on this list, having been out for most of the year with an injury, I think you know who I mean, Tommaso Ciampa. Can we just talk about that match, the main event of NXT TakeOver New Orleans? Oh, I've seen one person online give it 2.5 stars, which is just someone trying to be cool, isn't it? But a really misplaced attempt at being cool, because this match was one of everyone's favourite matches. It seems like on Twitter everyone was going, that's one of the best matches I've seen. And again, like Meltzer's opinion of the card, you can't read that and think, one of the best matches you've ever seen, really? And then you think, actually, it might have been one of the best matches I've ever seen. The action wasn't anything that we haven't seen before. It was the storytelling. That was something that we haven't really seen before. And Ciampa, Adam Pacitti said it the other day. He went, Ciampa might go down as one of the best heels in WWE history. And looking at him and how great he is at it, I kind of am inclined to agree with him. He was horrible in this match. He came out to no music. It was awesome. He was using the crutch. He was using the knee brace. All the little callbacks to the feud. I'm gushing over it because if you've watched it, you know what I mean. It was what wrestling should be. It was a mixture of fantastic action backed up by fantastic storytelling. Ciampa, number 2 on the list. 19 points in the bag straight away. He's well on his way to the upper reaches of the league table. And number 1, of course, I don't need to say it, but I have to. I'll say it just for the formality of it all. Number 1, of course, is Nicholas. Well done, Nicholas. 20 points for you. Get up that list. Come on, Nicholas. Big Nick, Raw Tag Team Champion. Number 1 is not Nicholas, as much as I would have loved for that to be true. Number 1 is Johnny Gargano, of course, the other half of that wonderful match against Ciampa. Johnny Gargano, when Pacitti said that Ciampa could go down as one of the best heels in WWE history, my response was, because I'm really cool like this, and I talk like I'm in a movie. He went, I think Ciampa could be one of the best heels in WWE history. And I went, yeah, I think Gargano could be one of the best faces in WWE. I didn't say it like that. I probably went, oh, Gargano could be probably one of the best faces. You get my gist though. You know what I mean? Gargano is an incredible wrestler, and this was an incredible match. And as soon as it happened, I thought, Wrestlers of the Week's over. I know who's going to be 1 and 2. I just had to decide which one was 1 and which one was 2. And I think just for the sheer emotion of it and the fact that he is on the run of his life right now, Gargano gets the number 1 spot. It could go either way. I wouldn't disagree with you if you think the Ciampa should be number 1. I just personally felt that Gargano edged it slightly. And of course, the surprise result worked in his favour as well. I was expecting Ciampa to win, as many were, because we thought Gargano was going up to the main roster. But no, he's sticking around, which means, of course, that he might be on more takeovers. And as we all know now, NXT takeovers breed wonderful, wonderful wrestling matches. So with all of that out of the way, and that took a while, but I'm all right. Let's take a look at our league table. So as you can see, Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. still lead the way, but it's been shaken up a little bit because Johnny Gargano, Matt Riddle, and Andrade Almas have all sprung immediately into contention as well. If we look at the chasing pack, Okada is up there, and with the G1 Climax later on this year, I'm considering him to be a front runner already because he's going to have some incredible matches later on in the late summer. Cody's level with Omega, which I'm sure he'd find appropriate if he ever watched this list. I miss you, Cody. I miss you so much. Adam Cole, Ciampa, and Ricochet are all right up there as well. So what a turn of events it's been. Yes, Ospreay and Zack are still 1 and 2, but it's anyone's game now. It's open season, especially with so many wonderful things coming up in the future. There'll be NXT takeovers. There's the Best of the Super Juniors, which I reckon is going to see Hiromu Takahashi pick up quite a few points. And there's the G1 Climax, which, if anyone in that tournament puts together a string of good matches, could find themselves at number 1 in the league table within a matter of about 2 weeks, probably. So, all very good stuff. And yeah, there's not much more to say. So that's it for my double length edition of Wrestlers of the Week. As always, let me know what you think about who your Wrestlers of the Week would have been. Who would you have included that I missed out? Who would you have shifted the positions of in the comment section down below? And as always, remember to tweet me with your opinions of who should be on future editions of Wrestlers of the Week. If you see a good match, do make sure to recommend it to me. You can follow me on Twitter at JackTheJobber. You can follow all of us at Cultaholic. And you can check out Patreon as well, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And without further ado, as I pick up my lovely belt again, never forget to join us. See you later.